The wildest love story in Greek mythology began with an abduction, a heartbroken goddess, and a fruit that changed the world forever. When the god of the underworld falls for you, there's no escaping it. Literally. Persephone's story isn't just a myth about love, it's a story of power, sacrifice, and a deal that changed the world forever. Welcome back to another episode from the Secret Archives. Let's start with the basics of the wild Hades and Persephone love story. In Greek mythology, Persephone, the radiant goddess of spring, daughter of Zeus and Demeter, and a literal symbol of life and innocence, was living her carefree goddess life, roaming the fields and basking in nature's glow. But one fateful day she caught the eye of Hades, the king of the underworld. He's the guy ruling over the dead, deciding fates, and keeping the afterlife in check. Now Hades wasn't exactly known for his charm, but when he saw Persephone picking flowers, he was smitten. As Persephone was casually frolicking through a field, the ground split open. In comes Hades on his chariot pulled by jet-black horses. And what does this mighty god do? Without warning, he grabs her and drags her straight to the underworld. Classic ancient Greek romance, or maybe just kidnapping. No one saw where she went. No one had answers. All that was left behind was a chilling silence. When Persephone didn't come home, her mom Demeter, aka the goddess of agriculture, was furious. She searched high and low but couldn't find her daughter. Eventually, she turned to Helios, the all-seeing sun god, and he revealed that Hades had taken Persephone to the underworld. And if that wasn't enough, Helios, in an attempt to play peacemaker, told Demeter she should be happy about it because Hades wasn't a bad match. After all, Hades was one of the big three gods, ruling a third of the universe. But Demeter wasn't about to celebrate. She was devastated and enraged. Her grief plunged the world into chaos. She let the crops die, and the earth grew cold, causing famine and chaos, and leaving humanity struggling. Her anguish was so deep that even Zeus, the king of the gods, had to intervene. Seeing humanity on the brink of extinction, Zeus sent Hermes, the messenger god, to the underworld to negotiate Persephone's release. Surprisingly, Hades agreed to let her go, but the god of the dead had one final move up his sleeve, a cunning plan to bind Persephone to him forever. Before she could leave, Hades offered Persephone a pomegranate as a parting gift. What she didn't know was that this seemingly innocent act sealed her fate. She ate a few seeds, which is a big no-no because eating anything in the land of the dead means you're bound to it. But instead of a forever prison sentence, Zeus proposed a deal. Persephone would split her time, part of the year with Hades as queen of the underworld, and the rest with her mother on Earth. Demeter reluctantly agreed, and life on Earth sprang back to normal. Literally, this myth became the ancient Greeks' way of explaining the seasons. Every year when Persephone returns to Demeter, the earth blooms with flowers and crops signaling that spring and summer are here. But when it's time for her to head back to Hades, Demeter mourns, and the earth grows cold and barren, giving us fall and winter. This cycle repeats, giving us the seasons as we know them. Here's where things get interesting. With time, Persephone grew into her dual life. She wasn't just the sweet flower goddess anymore. She became the powerful and fierce queen of the underworld, ruling alongside Hades as an equal. Despite the rocky start, Hades proved to be a loyal husband. Unlike many gods, he didn't cheat or take other wives. In fact, some versions of the myth suggest as time went on, Persephone actually grew to love Hades. Yeah, the guy's rough around the edges, but maybe there's a softer side we don't see. Their love story is a delicate balance of light and dark, life and death that's made this story so timeless. Their epic love story and on-again, off-again vibes are still making waves in pop culture. Take the Hades video game series, for example. The game is all about that sleek, modern take on Greek myths with cool updates like a black Athena and a gay Achilles and Patroclus. While it does drop the ball on some diversity fronts, it nails the classic Greek Ephebi look. Netflix is also getting in on the action, with shows bringing their story to life. And it's not just games and shows. The Percy Jackson books, the musical Hadestown, and the award-winning webtoon Lore Olympus all put their unique spin on the Hades and Persephone saga, showing off different sides of their timeless drama. Speaking of Lore Olympus, Rachel Smythe's webcomic totally reboots the Hades and Persephone myth with a modern twist. Instead of just a classic abduction, we get a full-on reimagined romance with today's drama. Hades is juggling his toxic ex, Mintha, who's also his secretary, while Persephone's dealing with her mom, Demeter, being super overprotective. It's like a mythological soap opera. The tone is way different from the original myth. Rather than focusing on the dark themes of kidnapping and coercion, Lore Olympus serves up a Romeo and Juliet vibe minus the tragic ending. It layers in modern dilemmas and personal conflicts, making it way more relatable. Plus, it conveniently leaves out some of the weirder aspects of the myth, like the fact that Hades is technically Persephone's uncle. We're totally here for that upgrade. Persephone's story is more than a myth. It's a metaphor for transformation and life itself. She represents the cycle of life and death, rebirth in spring and rest in winter. She went from a carefree daughter to a queen with a literal kingdom to run. And when we talk about Hades, well, the most misunderstood god in mythology, seen as the ultimate villain, tormenting eternal darkness. Back in ancient Greece, he was basically known as the Other Zeus, or the Infernal Zeus, a nickname Homer gave him. He was the child of the Titans Cronus and Rhea, and ironically both the oldest and youngest male sibling since he was swallowed first by his dad, Cronus, and spat out last. After Zeus saved him, Hades joined the squad in the epic Titanomachy, that big showdown with the Titans. Once they won, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus drew lots to split up the realms, and Hades scored the underworld as his domain. As the ancient Greek king of the underworld, where souls go after they die, his name, meaning the unseen one, is pretty fitting for the ruler of the invisible realm. The Greeks didn't use his name much, though. Instead, they called him Pluton, meaning the wealth giver, because let's be real, all those precious metals are buried underground, and if you're into Roman mythology, he's known as Pluto. Hades was the ultimate brooding ruler of the dead, usually seen as super grim and intimidating. While he didn't pop up in art that often, when he did, he rocked a beard and a seriously intense look. He'd usually be decked out in the Helm of Darkness, aka the invisibility cap, and was never without his trusty sidekick, Cerberus the three-headed dog guarding the underworld's gates. He carried a scepter or the key to his realm, and sometimes even a bident, which is like a fork but cooler. When he went by Plauton, he'd sometimes be shown with a cornucopia, showing off the underground's hidden riches. One of the most fascinating aspects of Hades' character is his loyalty. While other gods were notorious for their infidelities, Hades remained devoted to Persephone. Despite the unconventional start to their relationship, he proved to be a consistent and stable partner. Over time, their bond evolved into a powerful alliance, with Persephone becoming a fierce queen who ruled alongside him as an equal. So is Hades the villain of this story, or is he just misunderstood? That's for you to decide. But one thing's clear, the tale of Hades and Persephone is more than just myth. It's a timeless exploration of love, power, and the delicate balance that keeps the world turning. Their story also gives us a glimpse into the complexity of ancient Greek myths, where heroes and villains aren't always black and white. Hades isn't your typical antagonist, and Persephone isn't a mere damsel in distress. She's a goddess who embraced her dual identity, proving that even in darkness, there's room for growth and power. But there's even more to Persephone's tale than love and seasons. As queen of the underworld, she became a symbol of justice and balance. Persephone wasn't just Hades' companion, she played a critical role in judging souls, bringing fairness to the afterlife. Her transformation from a carefree maiden to a formidable ruler reflects themes of resilience and adaptability that still resonate today. Interestingly, the myth of Persephone also explores the concept of duality. She embodies both life and death, light and dark, spring and winter. Her dual role symbolizes how opposing forces can coexist, creating balance in both nature and human experience. Ancient Greeks saw her as a reminder that hardship often leads to growth, and even the harshest winters eventually give way to spring. Their story continues to inspire modern retellings, from novels to musicals and webcomics, each reinterpreting their dynamic. Whether you see it as a love story, a tale of transformation, or a power play, one thing is clear: Hades and Persephone remain one of mythology's most fascinating duos. What's your take? Let us know in the comments.